Ready to unleash your full potential and achieve greatness? Welcome to Inspirations for Your Life, the daily podcast that empowers you. Unlock hidden secrets of success with our powerful tips and techniques to help improve your life. Subscribe now and experience the transformation you've been waiting for. Join thousands of motivated listeners around the world on this life-changing journey. Don't wait. Subscribe to Inspirations for Your Life today at BelieveMeAchieve.com and click on the IFYL podcast. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and I can't wait for the next episode. Can you?
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the official 2023 Survivor Series War Games review show. And it's going to be quite a show as we dive into the details of the show and not just focus on CM Punk. If you want a more deep dive, more of a introspective on the Punk situation, you can check out last night's show. I did an instant reaction to the Punk return because I just couldn't sit there and not say something as I was drifting off to sleep. And I said, oh my God, I got to do something. I got to check this. I got to give you guys my opinions. And I appreciate all of the responses as you guys have, absolutely returned that in kind. And I have all of your responses ready to go for Wednesday night, for a special mailbag episode of the show, as we are going to get all of your thoughts and opinions on the CM Punk return. Hell, don't forget Randy Orton returned. Remember that thing? Remember how Randy Orton came back? One of the greatest of all time. Remember him? Yeah. He had a upstage event happen to him with Punk coming back. And, I didn't get too much into the Seth Rollins controversy that's been going on and the Drew McIntyre controversy that's been going on. So I'm going to touch on that in just a minute. But first, thank you everybody who has joined us over the last couple of days for the Survivor Series review show, or not just the review show, but a full week you can get for free on Patreon, which allows you to also get everything ad-free if you want an ad-free experience. The ads are just going to get, a little more frequent, guys, because, hey, it's the holiday season and guys got to pay his bills. And I know that they're not the most fun to listen to, but they are keeping this show running. And if you want an ad-free experience, Patreon is your place, or Apple Podcasts is your place, or WWEpodcast.com. So I'm going to dive into the Seth Rollins deal first, because it was unbeknownst to me when that happened that it actually happened, because this wasn't on camera. This was off camera, caught by several fans in the audience. And what had happened, if you haven't seen it already, is Seth Rollins was irate at CM Punk's return. Absolutely livid in a way that makes him break character. He's not this happy-go-lucky, cackling, crazy outfit wearing dude. I mean, this is Seth Rollins coming alive in a very authentic way. And, I have mixed feelings on it. For one, it's a good thing in that it immediately gets you interested in a potential matchup for these two. And you do wonder what Seth Rollins' beef is with CM Punk. If you go back and listen to some interviews over the years, it is, Phil Brooks is not exactly Seth Rollins' favorite guy in the world. He has been vocal about how he does not like Phil Brooks, CM Punk, and that he would work with him, he'd have a match with him, but he's a guy that he just doesn't like. But what exactly would trigger Seth Rollins to get so angry that Phil Brooks is there? Because, and I'm not being a negative Nancy. I don't even know how I feel about it. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. It's just observations here, and let me know what you guys think. If he's angry at CM Punk, shouldn't he really be angry at the company? isn't his anger misdirected? Because the company's the one that decides to hire him. CM Punk isn't just showing up at the door going, hey, guys, I'm showing up tonight, so get your music ready. Of course not. So Seth Rollins' anger, if he's angry, he may not like CM Punk, the man, Phil Brooks, but his anger should be directed at the company for allowing him to come in, if this anger is real at all. So there's that. And again, this is not me nitpicking. This is just, this is not me trying to crap on this moment. It was an amazing moment, a moment that will, dare I say, live for years to come. I don't want to say in infamy. I think that's a bit of a overstatement for now. But Seth Rollins getting so angry at seeing CM Punk was making me think that, did I miss a part of this story? What is triggering Seth? And maybe that'll come out. Or maybe WWE is going to pretend this didn't happen. Also, this is something that makes me think it's real in the respect that how often do you see in 2023 wrestlers, even when the camera is off, cuss, middle fingers, all that. That is very non-PG. Now, they weren't on the air, so you can point to that and say, well, this might be a stunt because they weren't on the air, so they're not in, they don't have to worry about FCC regulations and staying within the parental guidelines or whatever it is, because it wasn't part of the show. It was just something the fans captured afterwards. But it's making the rounds. At this point, millions of people have seen the Seth Rollins, freak out and conniption. I mean, and it felt real. And it's like he was being held back, by the way, by Michael Cole. Like, what the hell's Michael Cole doing out there? I mean, go watch it. And then CM Punk is waving to Seth. Randy Orton takes a seat in the ring and is waving back to Punk. And Seth Rollins is losing his mind. He's apoplectic. I mean, he is out of his mind. And I'm just thinking, like, I hope we get the full story here. I hope they don't just pretend this didn't happen and CM Punk gets interrupted by somebody else. I absolutely do expect this to turn into something. And if you listen to Triple H's explanation in the post-press conference as to why CM Punk was brought back, well, take a listen.
This was one of those sort of lightning in a bottle moments that came together very quickly. But we are incredibly excited about it. It's been a long time, and in some ways been a long time coming. You could say this about CM Punk. Love him, hate him, positive, negative, whatever you want to say. People talk about him all the time. He is a magnet for that. He's a conversation starter. And it's tough to look past that. And for me, if our fans want it, if the WWE Universe is excited to have it, then let's go.
All right, well, I'll pause it. There's a little bit more to that, but okay, so Triple H, first of all, if that's the case, if we're going to just say, well, if the WWE Universe wants it, if it's a conversation starter, then we're going to, we'll do it. Okay, well, be careful of that logic being extended beyond this immediate situation, because if that were the case, I think The Rock and Roman Reigns would have happened about 4 years ago. So be careful when you say that. Now, I know that it's not just WWE with The Rock and all that, but my point is that that's kind of a bit of an overstatement, because there are a lot of things that WWE fans want that they don't get for one reason or another. It has nothing to do with the fans want or need, but it's just a bit of an overstatement. And if you saw the picture of Triple H and CM Punk backstage, the caption from Triple H was, it's a cold day in hell right now or something, alluding to the fact that it'll be a cold day in hell before Phil Brooks and Paul Levesque ever have a picture together again and they're ever in the same room again. But amends have been made, and I understand Triple H's explanation. It's lightning in a bottle. It's not lightning in a bottle. CM Punk has been basically saying it for months after he left AEW, that he's, he's going to be off TV till November. Like, he basically said it months ago. It's not something that came together last second. Let's be stop. That I don't buy that for a second. But it doesn't matter. The results are the same. And the other thing is, it's like he's a conversation starter. He's what? Okay, so meaning he elicits a reaction. You say his name and everybody's got an opinion about him. Okay, fine. It's just a political way to say stuff these days. It's a conversation starter. I don't like the way it was phrased, but I understand the meaning, But I'm not here to rap on Triple H. He is explaining it in a very corporate way. He was explaining it in corporate speak that CM Punk is a polarizing figure and that he draws numbers. That's what he does. He gets people talking, and that's all they care about are numbers and dollars. And I don't blame them for a minute. If you think I'm going to sit here and say, oh my God, they're bringing him in just for money or ratings. Well, yeah. Like, if anybody out there is angry at WWE, if they're doing this only for that, you don't understand how for-profit organizations work. That's why they exist. That's why they're even here, is to make money. That's why anyone is on the show, to help increase ratings, to help draw more money. So, that's why everyone in the company is there. So I've heard some people, say that that's a problem. Like, they shouldn't brought him back well, for what? They aren't here to do charity work. So, this is definitely going to be something interesting. And I will say, I wasn't going to go to Monday Night Raw here in Albany, New York, until CM Punk did return. So I'm a perfect example of CM Punk drawing money. And I don't agree with nearly anything that CM Punk has to say in his personal life about his personal views on things going on in the world. I nearly agree with none of it. In fact, almost none. Everything he's said from other things, non-wrestling, I'm not a fan of. That said, I'm still a wrestling fan, and I'm there to see him cut promos or wrestle. Now, I would imagine that moving forward, once it's established where he's going to be, I would imagine he's a free agent, that we see increase in ticket sales, probably an increase in at least temporarily, and we'll see long-term how that plays out, the ratings, because typically when there's a massive return, ratings will spike and then drop and then level out. So we'll see what that sustained rating and additional draw is. So, take that for what it is. But, I don't blame WWE for doing this. But we don't know exactly what the beef is with Seth. And that looks to be like a possible WrestleMania main event, if not Rumble, is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. And, I don't know where Drew McIntyre fits into this, because Drew McIntyre apparently left. He wasn't happy about something. I'm not sure if it had to do directly with Punk. I've checked out some other websites. Even Dave Meltzer says he doesn't know. For all of you that love or hate Dave, is what it is. He does have good information at times, and I respect that. But even he doesn't know exactly what the issue with Drew McIntyre was. Apparently he was angry about something at the beginning of the match. Maybe he was privy to Punk's return. He doesn't agree with it, doesn't like it. But here's the thing. CM Punk, love it, hate it, or indifferent, is going to probably bring in a little bit more money for the company. Is it going to be overwhelming? No. But when the company makes more money, everybody makes more money. So is he taking up a spot that a guy that's been busting his ass for years is on the roster doing? And is he possibly taking a position against, or a match against, or away from a new talent? Maybe. But who do when you look at it, who is Seth Rollins going to face right now? I mean, there are younger guys, but CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is a hell of a matchup. I don't know who's going to play babyface in that match. I really don't. I mean, Seth Rollins versus Punk, I would imagine Seth turns heel in that. It's possible Seth Rollins is a heel turn away right now. It's fascinating right now how many pieces they can move, and then it could be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And then when things are ready, you could have CM Punk versus Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Because, again, I think he's going to be a free agent. So there are a lot of things you can do. And I did allude to last night that my assumption was that this deal with Punk was a short-term one, that it's something that's 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. From what I'm hearing, it's multi-year, which would tell me, though, that he's probably doing a Roman Reigns schedule, which is fine. I have no problem with a Roman Reigns schedule as long as you're not the champion. That's the whole problem with Roman. But that's fine because you want to get as much mileage out of the body as you can and make his bumps count. He doesn't need to take bumps for the sake of taking bumps anymore. If you're going to have him in a match, there's got to be a meaning behind it. There's got to be a real solid reason behind it. And I think that's what they're going to do is store his bumps away on a shelf and only take them out when needed. So it's look, love, hate, or whatever in between with CM Punk, you can't deny that he is a ratings draw, at least temporarily. AEW didn't work so well for him in the long term. So we'll see if things change in the short term with CM Punk. I would imagine, though, that if you're, maybe Seth Rollins also angry, if he is legitimately angry, because we have a guy who has been busting his ass to get to the position he's at as a babyface, and then CM Punk comes in and just takes that all away from him. All his momentum is now shifted to Punk, who has been gone for nearly 10 years. And now all the goodwill, well, not goodwill, but all of the momentum that Seth had as a babyface has now been, all his attention's now on Punk. That's also probably part of it, not all, but no doubt, a lot to talk about in the days ahead. But I will be at Monday Night Raw on December 4th. So not tonight's Raw, when you probably listen to this show, but a week away, December 4th, in Albany. And I'll be pretty much where I was last time. If you watched me last time, I will be on the camera side, and I'll probably be selflessly promoting like a goon, my show, because I'm in an even better seat than I was last time. So you should be able to see me even clearer than the last time. Every time I hold up my hands, you'll probably be able to see me. So I'll try to hold up my sign as best I can. And get some selfless, shameless, pitiful promotion for this show, but also to enjoy the damn show. So it should be interesting as we get closer and closer to the next PLE, which, guys, is 2 months away. 2 months away, 60-ish days until we get the Royal Rumble. A big one, though, of course. Nothing in December. A lot of time to build, a lot of time to think, a lot of time to get things going. But definitely, it's going to be a long time before we see a PLE around these parts. But when we do, it's WrestleMania season. So, other than that, though, guys, the men's Money in the Bank, the men's War Games match, I loved. I really enjoyed it from the perspective of the heels beating down the babyfaces coming back, Dominic getting his ass kicked. Of course, Randy Orton's return was a lot of fun. And like I said last night, I feel bad for Orton because no one's talking about Orton. It's like, and this dude's been on the shelf for 18 months and he looks incredible. The guy looks like he's been living, eating, and breathing a gym and diet. And he is it's unbelievable. He may be in the best shape of his entire career. It's incredible. So credit to Orton, who looks better than ever and more muscular than ever. And so we have a lot of fun RKOs to come and a lot of moving parts on Raw. My God, you think about where does Jimmy and Randy Orton stand? Are they going to make amends? Does Cody try to align himself with Randy, but Randy turn on Cody? Do they reform a bit of a legacy? Where does Seth and Punk stand? I mean, there is a lot of great moving parts here. Money in the Bank's still alive. Monday Night Raw is on fire right now. I mean, the scales have completely tilted in the other direction, where SmackDown for so long was so good and Raw was kind of the downer. It's flipped, and it happens, but right now that's where we are. So let me talk a little bit more, guys. Let me get off of Punk, okay, because there's going to be so much more to talk about. From what I understand, he's going to open tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw. Don't hold me to it, but that's what I'm hearing. So those of you who are attending Monday Night Raw, get ready for a massive pop as Punk is opening the show next week or tonight. If you're listening to this Monday Night Raw, so it's going to be loud, and everyone's going to be hanging on every word he has to say. So all right, but let's talk a little bit more about the actual show itself, which there were no matches in the kickoff show, which was surprising. But the first match on the show was the women's War Games match, which is Damage Control versus the ragtag group of Bianca, Becky, Charlotte, and Shotzi. And the match, honestly, it was good, but felt a little bit clunky, if that's a word. It felt a little bit clunky at times. Shotzi did the best she could to really make herself known and make herself a presence in the match. I got to say, her hair, I'm not a fan of the hair. I know she's trying to be different and stand out and be wacky and just unhinged. But Nikki Cross tried that, and let's talk to her on how that worked. Maybe she'll lend the cape to Shotzi in short order. But Shotzi did have a good night. Obviously, it's the biggest match of Shotzi's career, and the crowd was chanting for tables, I think, more than some of this matchup. I mean, it was almost annoying that the crowd was so into the tables and not into the match at times. That was annoying, but the women were killing each other in there, and we did get a reconciliation of sorts between Becky and Charlotte, which, I mean, fine. I don't know how much of an authentic moment that was. I don't know how these two are truly backstage. I don't know if it was an organic moment or if it was just something designed to happen. I'm gonna say it was probably designed to happen, because why else would they do it? I mean, just to say that they have an alliance now, that there's mutual respect, that there's water under the bridge, whatever analogy you want to use. It was a moment, though. You could say, okay, they're on the same page, and I don't think one of them is going to turn the other. Number one, they're still in opposite brands, or they're supposed to be. And two, we've seen and been through that story many times before. So, they put on good matches together, but I don't think anyone wants to see Becky Lynch versus Charlotte, at least for the next year or two. We've just seen it so much, and they work very well together, but it's just enough's enough. So, now, the other big development in this matchup, after a 33-minute match, was Bayley. Well, this is the finish. Shotzi hit Bayley with a top rope move. Belair hit Bayley with the KOD. Belair handed Bayley to Lynch, who's on the ropes. Lynch hit the manhandle slam through the table, to the crowd's delight, and got the victory. So Bayley was the scapegoat here. And that's perfect. That is perfect, because that sets up the one moment everyone's looking forward to, which is Bayley turning face. Let's go. Let's do it. Now, the team is probably going to blame Bayley. They may oust her as soon as this week, or maybe they'll build it till the Rumble. They could go that far. But Bayley, in the next month or two, or this week, is gone from Damage Control. They're going to give her the Edge treatment from Judgment Day and completely remove her from office, so to speak. And that's going to be fun, because babyface Bayley is something we haven't seen in quite a while, that I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. I just don't know how Bayley's going to combat her group when it's going to be 4-on-1 all the time. I would imagine she's going to ask for the help of Bianca, ask for the help of Charlotte, and even the odds. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the women, again, in this match, killed themselves. They really did. I have nothing but respect for all these women in the match who put on as good of a match as you could for 33 minutes. Again, was it the smoothest match in the world? No. Is it designed to be, though? Not really. You got 2 rings and a cage. It's not exactly your everyday office. So I understand that it's not supposed to be, Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. I get it. But it's going to be a match that is, at times, clunky, and it was, but everyone busted their ass. So, all right. We did get an R-Truth return. to bring him in to sponsor Ruffles potato chips. So that was important to note. Gunther versus The Miz for the Intercontinental title. You know, I went into this match and I was trying to be the smartest guy in the room and say Miz is going to win. And I didn't believe myself, but I went with it and I stand by it because I thought there was a chance. There's nothing left for Gunther to prove. And it could get Gunther out of this title picture, the Intercontinental title picture, and move him up into the world title picture. Again, now we're muddying the waters with Punk and everything else. Here's the cool thing. There are so many matchups we haven't seen that it becomes so intriguing when you look at Monday Night Raw. There's a lot of confrontations or matches that we haven't seen in a while that make it feel like we haven't seen them at all. So there's a lot of great moving parts on Raw. A lot. So, but that said, this match was one that I thought I was going to be a smart guy, and I ended up looking like an idiot and not taking the obvious choice of Gunther, who was the absolute heavy favorite, and he should be. But The Miz put up a hell of an effort, and he showed you that he's not just this laughing stock of a competitor, and I didn't think he was, but I haven't been a fan of his entertainment-y side. As Gunther perfectly put it, he is an entertainer, he's not a wrestler. It's exactly right. But you could say a wrestler is an entertainer, so they're all one and the same. But I understand what he was after. I get what Gunther was saying. I totally agree with him. But Gunther took him to task here. But there was a moment, and we were all waiting for that moment of, oh my God, The Miz could pull this off. And that was The Miz low-blowing Gunther, I think not once but twice, behind the referee's back, hitting a skull-crushing finale, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is it. And I thought that could be it. And the crowd cheered for that. The crowd cheered for The Miz in that moment. And I was worried that they weren't going to, if you're looking for a babyface support for Miz, that they were going to boo that. But they didn't. And that goes to show you that I think the fans understand The Miz needs that to win. But he's also a guy that's been around for so long that you're not going to hate on him for it. And we've also booed you for so long that even if you kick somebody in the nuts, hey, we're with you. We understand that you're not the strongest guy. We have a little bit of sympathy for you. You're always looking up at the lights. You almost never win a program, and so let's just get behind you. And they did. They cheered the low blow. He's got a little bit of an Eddie Guerrero lie, cheating, and stealing kind of deal going on, that he makes those things that are inherently bad look and feel good. He's deodorized those things. And I there is a certain charm and skill you have to have and respect with the fans you have to have in order to make those things that are 99% of the time bad things endearing. And it's a skill that The Miz has acquired, I think, through longevity of his career. And the fans are just tired of booing him, and they're ready for a bit of a change with The Miz and see what he can do. But ultimately, The Miz lost. And how he lost was interesting here. It was a 12-minute match. This was a lion tamer. And after Gunther drove his knee into Miz's back, Miz tapped out. That was good. Not good in the fact that if you're a Miz supporter that he lost, but in the fact that we have other moves that wrestlers can use to finish matches beyond their, quote, designated finish. So that was a good thing. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a nice, a surprising way to win. It was kind of like when Drew McIntyre used his Future Shock DDT to win a match on Raw last week. You're like, it's a transition move, and he didn't kick out. So it's that. That's nice to see once in a while. That it adds that little bit of anything could happen at any moment. That feeling that WWE desperately wants fans to have. It helps that feeling along a little bit. So, all right. So we also got Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee, who, hey, this match was designed for one thing: help get new talent over. And that's exactly what this did. Because both men, are going to put on an amazing matchup. Now, Carlito was supposed to be the one in this match. He was taken out. And so Dragon Lee stepped in and said, I'll face Santos. but you knew no matter whoever you put in the ring against Santos from the LWO, there is a 0% chance they're going to win, because Santos has just turned the page of his career, and he's completely reinvigorated his career. You've made instantly fans care about what you have to say with his promo last week, and injuring Rey Mysterio and putting him on the shelf and all that kind of thing. So you knew that this match wasn't going to be long. It was 7 minutes, by the way, a little over 7. And you knew that Santos was going to win, and he did. And how he won was with a Phantom Driver. So that was a lot of fun. So, all right, I would have liked this to be a little bit longer, but hey, maybe they'll get there. All righty. So this next match, this was, and I went in saying this, and I still stand by it, Zoey Stark's biggest match of her career, of which fans don't seem to care about because it seemed a little too soon for Zoey. Now, the argument against that is, well, how are you going to get new talent over if you don't put them in a position to have a championship match? And, well, you don't just immediately put talent that have been here for 10 seconds into a championship match. Typically, that's not the way you work. And in this case, with no character development for Zoey, no emotional attachment from the fans to her, and all we know about is she was Trish Stratus's lackey for 4 months, that doesn't really lend itself to a authentic connection with the fans. And she didn't have a great promo a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. It was a good try. She has done the best she can to try to spark some kind of reaction from the fans, but it has largely been unsuccessful, and it showed itself here. Now, the crowd wasn't booing her or totally silent, but this also wasn't a great match. I mean, I honestly thought that this was going to be a little bit better from Zoey, and I guess maybe unfairly, my expectation was super high for this matchup, that it would possibly tear the house down. And it didn't. It was good. But the finish here was, having Stark go for the Z360 finish, and Ripley blocked it and hit Riptide. And that's it. And Rhea wins. So this, again, not the worst thing in the world, but I don't think this really helped Zoey. I don't think it hurt, but it didn't. How would I put it this way? It didn't help her as much as I think we all thought it would and should help her. So, going down the line for Zoey, I think she's going to go back to something else, another program with a mid-card heel, and throw herself into the Women's Royal Rumble. I'm sure she'll be there. She might be something like the Final 8 or something like that. And, maybe Final 4, but at this rate, I doubt it. And then, we'll see where she lands from there, but she'll probably be put into some kind of tag team and maybe try to oppose Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, who can float between brands. Maybe that's what they do with her. But I think for now, the experiment of trying to get the fans quickly attached to Zoey Stark has failed. I'm not saying her career's failed. She's really good inside the ring, and I think she has some untapped potential. There's something there that I see that hasn't come out yet. And I'm not trying to be some fortune teller, but I see something in her. I'm like, there's something there that her look needs to change, or her personality, or her music that's not very fun to listen to. Something, or all. But her career is by no means dead. I think she had a good match, but it didn't need to be good. It needed to be great in order for that connection to happen. And I think the fans are going to look at this and go, okay. She got an opportunity. We know her name now. At least that's something we can hang our hat on. But I think that's what's going to happen as Rhea maybe shifts focus finally to Becky Lynch. Maybe we get finally a match that puts her title in jeopardy, that puts Rhea Ripley's title in real peril. So I think that's probably what we're looking at, is a Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley connection over the next several weeks that builds for 8 weeks until the Rumble. Now we have, of course, Christmas in there, which is always a throwaway show, and maybe they have a review show of the year in review, which so there's really like 2 Raws that don't really matter. But for all intents and purposes, there's 6 weeks, But all right, so yeah, that pretty much did it for the rest of the show. I mean, again, I didn't break down the men's match too much. I thought it was really good. I thought the men's match was better than the women's match, and it's not because of the CM Punk return or even the Orton return. You take those 2 out, and I just think the way the pacing was, the stories told within the story were good. The way that Dom was surrounded by Rollins, Zayn, and Jay. That kind of thing, that was a lot of fun. And McIntyre's slow pacing to the ring, McIntyre's continual problems with Damian Priest were a lot of fun. Rhea trying to cash in for Damian on behalf of Damian, which, by the way, how does that happen? Can you designate a proxy to cash in on your behalf? A lot of weird legalities that you'd think that would be cleared up in that contract, but I digress. It didn't happen. No cash in. I thought there was a chance we would see a new World Heavyweight Champion at the end of the night, but we didn't. And so, but the other thing, and I'll just mention this quickly, is not the RKO, which was brilliant on JD. And that really should have been the highlight of the night. And what we're talking about, if Punk didn't return, is, last night I was not happy about Cody Rhodes and WWE's incessant need to make sure he always gets the big victory. He's always the one to make the pin. He's always the one to make the save. He's always the one to bring in a superstar to Raw from the outside. He's got his hands in everything. He's got his hands in every cookie jar. He's got his hands in everything that makes the fans feel fuzzy and good inside. And I'm just sick of it. I'm tired of it. Maybe I'll even maybe I'll make a sign. I haven't come up with anything yet. Of course, I'll have my WWE podcast sign, and I may make a new one. I didn't like the way it looked on my last Monday Night Raw. But maybe something like to the effect of, and this is obviously going to be way too long for a poster, something like, no, Cody, we don't want to talk about anything. Or something to like respond to Cody's ridiculous question he asks every time. I don't know. I mean, maybe he won't even ask the question, but it was just something I was thinking of, or just like a sign that says "Turn Cody heel," something like that. On top of my sign, I'll have like a double sign, like WWE podcast on one side and "Turn Cody heel" on the other. I don't know. But yeah, that just really annoyed me, right? If you guys listen to my CM Punk reaction last night, I did touch on it. That WWE is making Cody they're trying to make us feel good feelings every time we see Cody. Associate him with all good things that happen. And it's just super annoying. And also last night it was apparent with the RKO that should have ended the damn match. On top of everyone else hitting their finish, and no one was in a rush. There was no sense of urgency. Everyone was just kind of like, okay, I hit my spot, I hit my finish. No one went for a damn cover. And it's like, where's the sense of urgency? You guys are trying to win a match. Win it. And that RKO on JD should have been the exclamation point. And Randy should have got the victory there. And he didn't. It was having Cody, after the magnificent RKO, hit one of the lamest finish moves in WWE right now, and really in all of pro wrestling, the Crossroads, which it just is lame. And not because it doesn't... I understand why it looks cool, because it's so twisty-turny, but that's also the problem with the damn move, is it's twisty-turny, and even in real time, in real motion, it doesn't look like it hurts the person that it's supposed to be hurting. It looks like it's actually the person who's delivering it, who's taking the bump. You shouldn't feel that way in real time. If you slowed any WWE match down, or any set of moves down to slow motion, you'd see how people are protecting themselves, and how, I see why it doesn't really hurt, because they do this, they put their arm up, they break their fall here. You could see that, of course, but I shouldn't see it in real time. In real time, I should look at it and go, oof, yikes, man, that's devastating. Even in real time, Cody's move looks lame. So when you take one of the greatest finishes of all time that was supersized by an off-the-cage RKO, and then you have Crossroads because Cody needs to get the finish and get the pin, it was just annoying, lame way for WWE. And I know what they're doing. And I'm not crapping on the match. It's just their continual need to put Cody in that position to get the victory. Because what, his daddy invented it in the mid-'80s? Who cares? I don't care. The fans don't care. Sorry, they don't. If you're a wrestling historian, you're like the 1% of people that go, oh, well, I see the symmetry there. Isn't that cool? Yeah, okay. Well, the rest of us that are actually watching in real time and just want to enjoy the product today, look at it and go, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, just get us the victory. And why didn't Randy end the damn match? That was a RKO from hell. Randy should have pinned JD and called it a night. But instead, we get Mr. Politician Bleach Blonde Hair delivering a lame finish to Damian Priest for the victory. But okay, I'll get off my bandwagon. I've said my piece, and it was a fun match though. Still, there was a lot of a lot of camaraderie among the guys, and all 5 of them standing there holding their hands up. I have to say, before Punk came out, you're looking at it and go, okay, Randy, where's the RKO? You're waiting for him to hit it on Cody or hit Jay, right? And they never did it. But that's another thing. As I've mentioned throughout the show here, there's so many matchups. What about Cody and Randy? What about Randy and Jay? What about Randy and Drew? What about Seth and Randy? A lot of history there with the with Triple H and Stephanie, with the Authority. A lot of history there. I mean, there's a lot that they can do here. There's a lot of great moving pieces, as I've said. So I mean, this is a lot of fun of an event. Of course, capped off by CM Punk, who is really all anyone's talking about, and I feel for Randy here. Usually, and that is a very rare thing that WWE has done, is put 2 massive returns on one night. That's usually not their MO. They try to put the spotlight on that one person, because if they don't, it washes out that person who went before you, right? Like if I return, which I'm sure would be a massive moment in WWE, and then someone else comes after me, well, people are going to be thinking about that return, not really necessarily mine, especially if it's towards the end and at the end of the show. Also, one last thing. I credit WWE for fooling a lot of fans that they weren't going to do it by putting the logo up of Survivor Series and then talking about the press conference. Good stuff. Because they know that when they put that logo up, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever, PLE, 99.9999% of the time, that does end the show. When you see the logo, you're like, okay, that's done. Bye. Like, that's it. So it was a very subtle, smooth, slick thing they did to put the logo up and then have Punk return. Good stuff. Really enjoyed it. But, all right, well, guys, there's so much coming up here. And if you'll be attending Raw, or anybody's attending Raw, let me know. Maybe we can get you on the show, or you can give me an in-person report, whatever the case may be, or SmackDown. I'd love to hear your in-person perspective. I'll be interviewing myself next Monday night, as I'll be attending live from Albany, New York. Way up here in the capital of New York. I'll be doing that live, so maybe I'll call into my own show and interview myself. We'll see. It'll be an interesting conversation, I'm sure. And so that'll be it, guys. But thank you so much for listening. If you guys want to call in, though, and leave a voicemail for this week's mailbag, that number is in the notes of the mailbag show. Every Wednesday we drop it. Check out the mailbag. We've done 159 of them, and I think that you'll enjoy being able to participate in the show. And go ad-free, by the way, patreon.com/WWE podcast. If you heard the ads in this show, all of those are removed by going to Patreon or Apple Podcasts by the ad-free button, or WWEpodcast.com. You can go VIP there. So lots of ways that you can get rid of those ads for a very minimal cost. I mean, really, $1 gets you in the door at Patreon with tons of other perks as you go up, of course. But tomorrow, current state of WWE, Anthony DeMarco returns, as I'm sure we'll have maybe something to talk about. I'm not sure what that'll be. There's not really a whole lot going on in WWE, so we'll probably struggle to talk about something. We'll somehow string a conversation together. But it'll be a very interesting conversation tomorrow night. Don't miss the current state of WWE. And also that exclusive show Anthony DeMarco does every single week. That is the After Dark show. That's exclusive to NXT Plus and the SmackDown tier. It is a great non-PG show where he goes off about certain topics, and you can only hear it on the Patreon side of things. So check it out. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care. And as always, I'll talk to you next time.
Ready to unleash your full potential and achieve greatness? Welcome to Inspirations for Your Life, the daily podcast that empowers you. Unlock hidden secrets of success with our powerful tips and techniques to help improve your life. Subscribe now and experience the transformation you've been waiting for. Join thousands of motivated listeners around the world on this life-changing journey. Don't wait. Subscribe to Inspirations for Your Life today at BelieveMeAchieve.com and click on the IFYL podcast. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and I can't wait for the next episode. Can you?
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.